Today we're doing NBA Imperialism, but every MVP in NBA history is facing off in 1v1 games. But we have a few teams that have multiple MVPs, so they'll face off in a play-in game to determine who represents their team. Starting with the Bulls, we have Michael Jordan, a 5-time MVP for the Bulls, facing off against Derrick Rose, the 2011 MVP for the Bulls. We're going to 11 points, going up by 1s and 2s, you have to win by 2, and this game was pretty close throughout, but as you'd expect, Jordan took this one, winning 11-8. So Jordan will represent the Bulls. Next up, we're heading to Milwaukee, where we have 3-time Bucks MVP Kareem Abdul-Jabbar facing 2-time Bucks MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. This was another close game, going back and forth the whole time, and up 10-8, Kareem got a block and layup to win 11-8. So Kareem will represent the Bucks. We are heading to Oklahoma now, where 2014 MVP Kevin Durant will face 2017 MVP Russell Westbrook. This was the closest of the play-in games. Up 10-9, Durant broke Westbrook's ankles to hit a jump shot and win 11-9. So Durant will be representing the Thunder. Heading down to San Antonio now, we have 2-time MVP Tim Duncan facing 1995 MVP David Robinson. Again, this was another great matchup, going way past the score limit this time. Eventually, Tim Duncan won 23-21. So Tim Duncan will represent the Spurs. Going west to Phoenix now, we have 2-time MVP Steve Nash facing 1993 MVP Charles Barkley. We got the Wish version of Barkley in game since 2K doesn't actually have him in the game. Despite this, Barkley was still able to narrowly win 11-8, so Barkley will represent the Suns. Going further west to San Francisco, we have 2-time MVP Stephen Curry facing 4-time MVP Wilt Chamberlain. Curry couldn't do anything to stop Wilt, but his three-point shooting carried him. And because of his shooting, Curry won the game 11-8, so Curry will represent the Warriors. Heading south to Los Angeles now, they have 4 MVPs, and starting off, we have 2008 MVP Kobe Bryant facing 3-time MVP Magic Johnson. This game wasn't close at all. Magic dominated and won 11-7. Next Lakers matchup was 2000 MVP Shaquille O'Neal versus 3-time Lakers MVP Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Shaq completely dominated the paint. I hope Kareem was wearing a good mouthguard, and you should too with today's sponsor, Sisu. The last thing you want while playing sports is to hit your teeth and end up at the dentist. Whether you're playing basketball, football, or lacrosse, a mouthguard is a must-have. The thing I always hated playing sports was having those big chunky mouthguards that you can't talk or breathe in. Well, Sisu's mouthguards are super thin and lightweight, so you can talk, breathe, and drink water without taking it out. Sisu keeps you in the game instead of on the bench trying to fix your gear. If you're a lacrosse player, you've probably already heard of them because they're the #1 choice for lacrosse players. They're so good that they're the go-to guard for athletes in the biggest youth camps out there. That should tell you something. The last thing I want to happen while I'm playing basketball is get an elbow to the chin or fall on the ground and chip my tooth. So protecting my teeth is very important. It's not just about protection, it's about staying comfortable while staying safe, and Sisu's thin design that molds perfectly to your teeth is the way to go. So whether you or your teammates need a mouthguard without the bulk, go check out Sisu mouthguards for basketball or any sport. The link is on screen right now, and I'll leave it in the description as well as the comments so you can go check them out. But Shaq ended up winning this matchup 11-6. We have Magic versus Shaq to see who represents the Lakers. This game was closer than I thought it would be, but Shaq came out on top winning 11-9, so Shaq will represent the Lakers. Going back to Texas to Houston now, they have 3 MVPs, and we're starting off with 2-time Rockets MVP Moses Malone facing 2018 MVP James Harden. Malone dominated in the paint, but Harden's shooting kept him in the game. He didn't shoot well enough though, and Malone won 11-7, so Moses Malone will face off against 1994 MVP Hakeem Olajuwon. It was a pretty good battle, but Hakeem came out on top winning 11-8, so Hakeem will represent the Rockets. Heading north now to Philadelphia, they have 4 MVPs, and we're starting with 1983 MVP Moses Malone versus 2023 MVP Joel Embiid. It was a close match, but Malone came out on top winning 11-8. After them was 2001 MVP Allen Iverson facing 1981 MVP Julius Erving. Iverson was just too small to match up against Dr. J, and he got cooked. Dr. J won 11-5. So we have Moses Malone versus Julius Erving to determine who represents the 76ers. It was a close game, but Malone won 11-9, so Moses Malone will represent the 76ers. And our final team for the play-in games is the Boston Celtics. They have 4 MVPs, and starting off, we have 3-time MVP Larry Bird versus 1957 MVP Bob Cousy. The game started close, but Larry Bird took over and won 12-8. The other Celtics matchup was 5-time MVP Bill Russell versus 1973 MVP Dave Cowens. Russell dominated the matchup and won 11-7. So Larry Bird and Bill Russell will face off to see who represents the Celtics, and this game was a battle. Bill Russell was dominant inside, but Larry was cashing out from 3. Tied up at 10, Larry hit a 2 to win 12-10. So Larry Bird will represent the Celtics. So our map is ready to go now, and we can hop into this Imperialism. And as always, we have to spin the wheel of players first to see which player will attack first. And we land on Bob McAdoo. We come over to our map here, we put an arrow on Bob McAdoo, and we're going to spin it wherever it lands. That's the player Bob McAdoo will attack. And he's attacking Shaquille O'Neal to start. Good luck. We've seen Shaq already, but Bob McAdoo is the 1975 MVP. And for the games going forward, the attacker gets the start on offense, but the defender gets home court advantage. And Shaq was getting busy on defense, getting 17 blocks this game. Despite this, McAdoo was still able to make it close by pulling in 13 boards. In the end, Shaq was too much for McAdoo to handle, and Shaq won 11-8. So Shaq takes over Bob McAdoo's land with that win right there. And we are right back over to our wheel of MVPs to see who will attack next. It is Michael Jordan. So few players that Michael Jordan could attack right here, but it is pointing towards the Pacers. And since the Pacers never had an MVP in their history, Michael Jordan picks up their land for free, and that's how it's going to work for any of the teams that don't have MVPs. If you land on them, you just get their land because there's nobody to attack. But that means we are right back over to the wheel, and this time we land on Bob Pettit. And there's a lot of free land around Bob Pettit, or he could attack Jordan, but he's going to pick up the Magic for free. All right, so a good pickup of land right there for Bob Pettit. He's got to hope that we don't land on LeBron, because they're going to have to 1v1. And we are over to the wheel yet again. And this time we land on Hakeem. Again, Hakeem with the chance to get some free land here, or he's playing Dirk or Tim Duncan. That's very close between them. It might be easier to tell on your screen, but for me, it's very far away. So the arrow's just barely pointing to Dirk, so Hakeem will attack Dirk. We've seen Hakeem play already, but Dirk is the 2007 MVP. And as you might expect, Hakeem dominated the paint. Dirk had no stop for him, but it was Dirk's shooting that kept him in the game. He was hitting some pretty crazy 2s, but after missing a 2, Hakeem got a dunk to win the game 11-8. And Hakeem takes over Dirk's land with that win. And the next player to attack will be Willis Reed. Spinning the wheel for Willis Reed. He will be attacking Larry Bird. Willis Reed is the 1970 MVP, and of course, we've already seen Larry Bird. And again, it was Bird's elite shooting that helped him this game. Reed bullied him in the paint and got 7 blocks on defense, but because of Bird's shooting, he won 11-9. And just like that, New York has fallen. Larry Bird starting to take over the Northeast. And spinning the wheel again, attacking next will be Shaquille O'Neal. We get to see Shaq play yet again. So 3 potential players Shaq could attack right here. And it lands on Karl Malone. This is the 4th time seeing Shaq play now, and Karl Malone is a 2-time MVP for the Utah Jazz. And as always, Shaq was dominant in the paint on both offense and defense. He ended the game with 44 blocks and 22 rebounds, which is insane. But somehow Malone still kept the game close. It went way past the score limit and tied up at 23. Shaq had 2 unanswered points to finally win 25-23. So Shaq picks up a ton of land with that win, but the player to attack next will be Kevin Garnett. Garnett surrounded by some really good players here, and it lands on Kevin Durant. So the 2 Kevins facing off. Kevin Garnett is the 2004 MVP, and we've seen Durant play already. Garnett was unstoppable in the paint, but Durant's shooting kept the game close. Durant took a 2-down-1 to try to take the lead, but missed, and the next possession, Garnett got an easy dunk to win 14-12. So Garnett takes Durant's land, and he has a lot of land to his name now. Him and Shaq looking real good. And attacking next will be Bob Pettit. We landed on him earlier, but he didn't attack anybody. Let's see if he'll actually attack somebody this time or get some more free land. It lands on the Hornets. So Pettit picks up some more free land, and we are right back over to the wheel of MVPs. This time we land on Kevin Garnett again. So a lot of potential players Garnett could land on here, but the arrow points to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's a tough matchup. This ended up being a great matchup. It was back and forth all game, but since Garnett was the attacker, he always had a 1-point lead since he started with the ball. He eventually got a stop on Kareem and was able to score to upset Kareem 12-10. So Garnett picks up even more land with that win, but back over to the wheel of MVPs. This time we land on Shaquille O'Neal. Why do we just keep getting the same players? I mean, Shaq just with a ton of land, a lot of potential players he could attack, but it lands on Bill Walton. Bill Walton is the 1978 MVP and Shaq on his 5th game now, and as most of the center versus center matchups have been going, it was close, it was boring to watch, but eventually Shaq won 16-14. So Shaq takes over Bill Walton's land. He completely surrounds Oscar Robertson and Steph Curry now. And we have just 15 MVPs remaining now. Attacking next will be Oscar Robertson. So Oscar will either attack Shaq or Steph here, and it is going to be Steph. Oscar Robertson is the 1964 MVP, and having never faced off against a shooter like Steph in his career, he had no way to stop him. While he could get buckets on offense, he had no answer for Steph shooting, and Curry won the game 11-9. So Curry gains a little bit of land with that win right there, now completely surrounded by Shaq. Just his big face looming over him. That's got to be a little scary. That matchup was a lot nicer to watch though. Guards playing is so much more interesting, and we land on Steph Curry again. And of course, since he is completely surrounded by Shaq, he will be attacking Shaq. Of course, this game is a major height mismatch. Neither player had an answer for the other on defense. Shaq dominated the paint, and Curry shot the lights out. And with the 2-point shot being worth more than a 1-point shot, Curry won this game easily, 11-6. So Curry takes over all of Shaq's land with that win. He is now the biggest player on the map, and he's looking like the favorite to win this thing. His 3-point shooting is just way too overpowered. There's still a lot of great players remaining though, so you never know. This time we land on Moses Malone. So a few players Malone could attack here. He'd also get some free land from the Raptors, but he attacks Larry Bird. Both these players with a few wins under their belt already, and like the previous games, Larry was draining buckets from the 3-point line. He wasn't as good as Steph though, so the game still stayed close. Everything was tied up at 9. Malone got a dunk, then blocked Larry Bird on defense and followed it up with a layup to upset Larry Bird 11-9. So Moses Malone takes over the Northeast. I was expecting Larry Bird to go a lot further in this competition with his 3-point shooting, but today wasn't his day. Back over to the wheel. Attacking next is Moses Malone again. What is with this wheel? It always lands on the same players. There's a good chance Malone gets some free land right here, or he attacks LeBron or Wes Unseld. That points to nobody. So we're spinning the wheel again, or the arrow, and that's pointing to Wes Unseld. Wes Unseld is the 1969 MVP, and he's the lowest rated MVP at a 94 overall. The center versus center matchup wasn't as boring as the others, and with Malone's overall advantage, he won the game 11-9. So Moses Malone gets even more of the East Coast, and attacking next will be Kevin Garnett. We just keep landing on the same players. We haven't even seen either of the LeBrons yet. All right, let's put the arrow right there, give it a spin for Garnett, and he'll be attacking Michael Jordan. Being a big man against a player that isn't great at shooting threes was a major advantage for Garnett in this matchup. 2K is kind of dumb this way, where it's almost impossible to beat a player that is bigger than you, but Jordan did the impossible. Up 14-13, Jordan got a stop on Garnett and finished the game with a layup to win 15-13. So Jordan goes from not having too much land to having possibly the most land on the entire map. And we are down to just 10 players remaining now, so many we haven't even seen play yet, and one of them is LeBron James, Heat LeBron James. Being all the way down here in southern Florida, he is completely surrounded by Bob Pettit, so LeBron will attack Bob. LeBron James was a 2-time MVP for the Miami Heat, and Bob Pettit was a 2-time MVP for the Hawks, including the first MVP in NBA history in 1956. Bob Pettit put up a good fight against LeBron, but in the end, LeBron was just too good, winning 11-9. So LeBron gains quite a bit of land with that win right there, one of the bigger players now. But let's see who will be attacking next. Still a lot of players we haven't seen play yet. Hakeem Olajuwon, one of them. Well, I guess he played in the play-in, so we did see him previously, and there is a lot of free land around Hakeem here, and it points to the Pelicans. So Hakeem picks up the Pelicans land for free right there, which means we are right back over to the wheel spinning yet again. This time we land on Michael Jordan. Spinning the arrow for Jordan, lots of teams he could potentially attack here, but it points to Hakeem. So Hakeem has to play anyways. Both these players are 99 overalls in the game, and despite the size mismatch, it was a pretty good game still. But Jordan constantly tried to drive in the paint, resulting in Hakeem getting 8 blocks this game. And after Hakeem got his takeover, it was over. He ended up winning 11-8. And Hakeem takes Jordan's land. Jordan is eliminated. Grizzlies kind of blocking Hakeem's face right now, but that's all right. Spinning the wheel yet again. This time we land on Moses Malone yet again. Let's see where the arrow points for him this time. It's either LeBron, or he gets free land. He's attacking Cavs LeBron. LeBron James is a 2-time MVP for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he was cooking Moses this game. Scoring from 2 in the paint. It didn't matter. LeBron was getting buckets, but Malone was getting buckets too. He just couldn't stop LeBron on defense. It was tied up at 6, and LeBron took over the game and won 11-7. So a pretty easy pickup of land right there for LeBron. He's in control of the Northeast now, and the next player to attack will be Tim Duncan. So Tim Duncan can either attack Hakeem or Charles Barkley here, and the arrow points. I believe that's Hakeem. That is definitely pointing at Hakeem. This was another one of the boring big men matchups. Duncan had 12 blocks, Hakeem had 10 blocks, and Tim Duncan won the game 13-11. Big win for Tim Duncan there. He splits the country in half now. I don't think we've seen Nikola Jokic play yet, and Charles Barkley hasn't played since the play-in, and we land on Charles Barkley. Barkley could attack Jokic here, or Curry, or Durant, and I don't know who that's pointing to. And that is just barely pointing to Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic, a 3-time MVP for the Nuggets now, and he showed why he has 2 more than Barkley. He took an early 2-point lead and kept it for the remainder of the game. Barkley was able to get buckets, but just couldn't stop Jokic, and Jokic won 11-8. All right, so Jokic picks up Charles Barkley's land, and now we just have 3 guys in a row just kind of cutting the US in half, and then we still have 2 LeBrons on the East Coast here. We have just 5 players remaining now. The odds are really in LeBron's favor with 2 of him remaining. But we land on Tim Duncan. I'm going to put the arrow up here. That way it has a chance of hitting both LeBrons, Jokic, the free spaces as well. And that's pointing to a free space. So Duncan takes the Grizzlies land, and his face is no longer cut off. And we are going right back over to the wheel to spin again. And this time we land on Nikola Jokic. Now, Jokic will either have to attack Tim Duncan or Steph Curry here, and that points to nobody, so we're going to spin the arrow again. Point to somebody here. I mean, the odds of it not landing on anybody is insane. Points to Tim Duncan this time. Not gonna lie, I thought Jokic was gonna cook this game, but he got absolutely roasted. He stood no chance against Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan won the game easily, 11-5. And with that win, Tim Duncan takes control of over like half the United States. I think he might be the favorite to win now after just destroying Jokic. But he has also improved LeBron's chances at winning. LeBron has a 2-4 chance of winning now, and we land on Tim Duncan again. All right, Tim Duncan will face one of 2 LeBrons or Stephen Curry. Let's find out here. Which LeBron is that pointing to? It's like right in the middle of them. Yeah, let me do some science here. I think that's just barely pointing to Cleveland Cavaliers LeBron. So Tim Duncan is attacking Cleveland Cavaliers LeBron. I don't think it matters too much. This was a great matchup. The 2 just went back and forth scoring the entire game. LeBron was able to hit a few 2-point shots though and took a 10-9 lead. And after missing a layup, he got his own board, scoring on his second chance to win the game 11-9. And just like that, LeBron James is now in control of more than half the US. There's still one other LeBron remaining, and Stephen Curry. Let's find out who wins. So if we land on Heat LeBron or Steph Curry, he's guaranteed to play Cavs LeBron. And we got Steph Curry. And if we come to the map, Steph Curry is completely surrounded by LeBron, so he has to attack Cavs LeBron. Curry had the same strategy as every other game here, just try to pop a 3 as soon as possible when he gets the inbound. And as you'd expect, LeBron just bullied Curry in the paint, but he was also hitting some jump shots. This led to a close matchup where everything was tied up at 9. We are tied up at 9 here. Curry can win it on a 2-pointer. Let's see if he goes for the 2. A little step back right there. He misses the shot. Let's see if LeBron can score 2-pointer for LeBron for the win, and he hits it, hitting a 2 over Steph Curry, and LeBron James is moving on to the final matchup. So of course, LeBron takes Steph Curry's land there, and we are down to just 2 LeBron Jameses now. We got Cavs LeBron with pretty much all of the entire US under his control, and Miami Heat LeBron. And then we still have the Pistons and Raptors here. Whoever wins this matchup will gain that land as well, because it's just free land. We have to spin the wheel of MVPs one more time to see which LeBron will attack and defend. Whichever it lands on will be attacking, and it lands on Cleveland Cavaliers LeBron. As you might expect, these two players matched up great. It was literally just back and forth the entire game. If one LeBron scored, the other would answer right back with a bucket of his own. And this continued for a while, going past the score limit until everything was tied up at 16. LeBron, a tough shot. Doesn't matter, he hits it anyways. I mean, these guys just match up way too well. It's almost as if they're the same person. LeBron fading. LeBron misses the shot. Heat LeBron, if he scores here, he wins the game. Driving. And Heat LeBron with the poster dunk to win the game, defeating his former self. Heat LeBron is our champion. And with that win, Heat LeBron takes over the entire US and a little bit of Canada. He's our Imperialism champ. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Here's our Imperialism leaderboard right now with all the different teams that have won. This will go to the Heat. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.